NLP, natural language processing, the study of how computers understand and interact with humans. But what does this really mean? In this form, the idea is rather abstract. There's no connection between what the goal is and how we can achieve it. There's no understanding of whether or not there is or should be a difference in machine and human intelligence. And in the end, there's no real plan. Now, I like to think of NLP in layers similar to the Earth's crust. These layers are mutually exclusive but interdependent. So the first layer deals with processing. How will computers input and output language, handling grammar, syntax, and other niceties of language? What type of data structures, filtering techniques, and other algorithms do we need to sort of normalize and capture language? The second layer deals with, or tries to figure out what language actually is. How do languages differ from each other, but more importantly, how do those differences highlight greater similarities and what is really important to communicate? To clarify, different cultures have different beliefs and values. This layer tries to figure out how and why language was created to convey those beliefs and values, connecting the message to the medium in which the message is transmitted. Also, how will computers support different languages and possibly make up their own language? The last layer lies at the heart of NLP, and it deals with the natural part of language. Most importantly, how will computers understand a message? And how will the computer understand the real-life impact of its words? For my work, I focus mainly on the third layer, attempting to figure out how computers can make connections of their own. What I actually discovered was more indirect than I first thought. So, to help explain this, I'd like to introduce you to Remy. You see, Remy and I are close friends, but our friendship is limited. Remy is, how should I put it, challenged. He had a troubled upbringing, so troubled in fact that he only speaks in riddles now. But it's not too bad. I'm helping him to develop better communication skills so that people can understand him. But Remy and I made a bet. Remy bet that he would be able to get people to understand riddles better and faster than I would. So I accepted Remy's bet and started to go around asking people riddles. A riddle, according to Oxford Dictionary's definition, is a statement or question intentionally phrased so as to require ingenuity in ascertaining its answer or meaning. One way to solve a riddle is to make connections between the hints in the riddle and then correlate that to possible answers based on how well those answers match the clues in the riddle. This is actually what Remy tries to do, and it may seem a little confusing. So to give you an example, I introduced Remy to one of my mentors, Dr. James Hing, who works in the RISE lab at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. And this summer they had the following conversation. For the presentation, I actually didn't get permission to use this name until after I had submitted the PowerPoint, so Human 22 is actually James. So Remy asked, I have 3 eyes and only 1 leg. Obey me or you will be sorry. After a little thought, James came back and replied, you are a 3-eyed pirate. Not a bad guess if I say so myself, but the pirate could have lost a leg, went for a transplant, and woke up with a new eye, but I think Remy made a pretty good attempt to redirect James when he said, a pirate is someone who uses another person's words or ideas as if they were his own. This is a completely illogical turn of events from a leg in this context. A rather interesting definition of a pirate, but Remy knew the answer was inanimate, and that the leg in the riddle was more figurative than literal. So Remy was trying to highlight a contrast between where James was heading and where the answer actually was. James continued, you are a potato. Remy comes back again saying, this is irrelevant to leg in this context. A potato is, and gives a very long definition of a potato. Potatoes don't have legs, but the closest thing to them are the roots, and they definitely have more than one of those, so unfortunately that couldn't be the answer. James comes back again saying, you are a light. Now, whether through Remy's hints or James's own development of thoughts, James was getting close. In fact, this answer is so close, this guess is so close to the answer that a normal person, like me, would have asked what type of light. But Remy wasn't smart enough to inquire this, so he comes back with survive, as in to continue to live through hardship or adversity should be thought of. Compared to Remy's previous responses, this is kind of out there. But when you think about it, not really. In fact, the types of light that the riddle's referring to are dangerous. And they're dangerous because sometimes people try to outlast or outrun them. Unfortunately, James was vague in his response, and he went down a wrong path when he said, "You are a lamp." Remy comes back saying, "This is not something to think about with respect to I in this context. A lamp is a piece of furniture holding one or more electric light bulbs." Remy was trying to get at the fact that eyes are always watching us, and I don't think we consider lamps around our houses to be spying on us. But I think James made a really good attempt to rebound, and he said, "You are a car." There's something ironic about that statement if you ask me, but Remy comes back with the definition of a car and asks, "Why are you not thinking about I?" After this, James gets it, a stoplight. But from this example, two questions arise. First, can Remy retain knowledge of a conversation enough that he can follow and understand what is actually happening? And second, did Remy really help James solve the riddle? Unfortunately, the answer to the first question is no, and the second question is perhaps. A big part of solving riddles lies in connecting each clue and working to see what those connections actually mean. Sometimes the answer is in the riddle itself, and other times you need a little bit more knowledge than what is presented to you. So, however, Remy is able to overcome this problem through his own oblivious nature. The caveat is, though, that you have to really think about his responses in a certain way for them to really click. So, Remy may be a pretty good riddler, but before we decide who actually is, I'd like to share one more story with you. This story highlights a big problem with Remy, and it's only an idea that came to me after I reconnected with one of my old friends, Kavita. So I was going to use Kavita as another test for Remy, but after I asked her the first riddle and she got the right answer, I was a little confused about what to do. So I asked her another riddle, and she got that one too. And the hundreds of people that I had questioned about these riddles, she was the first person that I wanted to not get the answer. At this point, I just wanted to see what the limit of her riddle solving skills was, so I kept asking her riddles. As it turns out, I got a break 2 riddles later, and the riddle was this. What has roots as nobody sees, is taller than trees, up it goes, and yet never grows? She said to me, "I'm actually struggling with this one. When I think roots, I think it's like hair or ancestry." I knew she wouldn't need much help with this, so I told her, "Think about what surrounds the Nazca lines in Peru." And she got it, mountains. But the point is, Remy takes a very systematic approach in generating hints, and in most cases, this is overkill. It's arguable that my hint was very targeted and focused on how well I knew Kavita, but that was the whole point. And the only reason I was able to do that was because of my history with her, something that Remy would never be able to get. So whether or not it was a good hint or not, she was able to make the connection and get the answer, which was the original goal. So as far as who's a better Riddler, I'll leave that up to you. But I should mention that apart from being my friend, Remy is also a computer program that I wrote while studying at Hofstra under the Smart Scholarship. So I may have contributed to some of his troubled upbringings. As we go through life, we take in a lot of information, and most times we use very little of it to make decisions. I would like to leave you with a quote from a Pokemon who was created by humans. And this Pokemon was in a similar position that computers are in today and will continue to be in for quite some time. Mewtwo said, I see now that circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It's what you do with life that determines who you are. Thank you.